Hey, this is V, and I've just finished reading A Fellowship of Bakers and Magic by Jay Penner. The main character, Arletta, is a baker, or at least her dream is to own her own bakery, and she currently does a great deal of baking, although she often has a tough time selling, like at the market in her town, because she I guess, doesn't have any magical abilities as a human, and everyone else in the marketplace does, since this is a world with a lot of different types of races. Like, there's different types of animal people, elves, dwarves, gnomes, pretty much, I think you name it, and it's probably there somewhere. So, like I said, Arletta's dream is to open her own bakery, but she doesn't really have a lot of funds. Like, her parents were killed in a carriage accident when she was, I think it was 15 or 16. And it's, I guess things have been pretty hard on her ever since, although she's kind of determined to try to make it on her own. She does have two really nice orc neighbors who have been looking after her since then. And this story really begins when she decides to enter a baking competition. Or technically, she's kind of pushed and cajoled into it, really, because she keeps telling herself that she can't do it because she doesn't have any magic or something. But anyway, she enters this really famous baking competition, and now she has to uh do her best to win and find some confidence in herself to do so in order to earn like the money and reputation and stuff that she would need in order to buy the shop that she's had her eye on and to open her own business. So that's pretty much the focus of this story. It's also partly a romance story, like it talks about Arletta and the relationships that she starts to build and the friendships that she starts to make throughout this process, as well as her own realizations regarding like family and the people who care about her and vice versa. Something I liked. I have a soft spot for food in general. Like, I often like to read about food, especially in these fantasy type universes or worlds where people can describe some pretty spectacular kinds of snacks. Like, I remember reading Redwall when I was little, and my favorite part was always like the descriptions of all the banquets. So this story has something similar. Like, baked goods are among some of my favorite edible things to think about or to, smell and imagine. So hearing about the different types of confections and stuff that these various bakers make is inherently attractive to me. But something I did not like. Honestly, I think this book had a lot of things that didn't make sense to me, like that weren't very well explained, and so resulted in what for me were like gaps or loopholes in the plot and the logic of the world that made things not seem very logical. Like, so for instance, like especially like with Arletta and her fixation on the fact that she has no magic. Like, she's constantly convinced that, oh, people won't like her because she doesn't have magic. People will think her baking is inferior because she has no magic. Oh, she can't enter the competition because she has no magic. But this doesn't really make sense. Like, I can like it you do get some minor prejudice from some of the other magical creatures and so on, where it seems like they think you're not as good because you don't have magic, but I don't actually understand how this affects her baking or how magic is supposed to make someone else a better baker. Like, the story never stops to tell you. Like, is I don't know, is using a spell supposed to make a fluffy pastry fluffier? Is it supposed to make the sweetness somehow more tasty? Like, as far as I can tell, people mostly use magic to do things like cool things down faster, or maybe, make the icing stand up in a particular way. But, none of these things are things that would affect how a cake or something actually tastes. Like, whether you, I don't know, mix dough with your hands or mix dough with a spell, I honestly cannot see what difference that would make. So her fixation on it, like, and the fact that uh this prejudice from inside herself plays such a major role in the story and her reactions and her choices just don't make sense to me.